Hey, wake your ass up. Let's go. It's race time.
And welcome everybody to round 3 of the 2022 Australian Grand Prix. Heineken Australian, of course. It's got to be beer because we're in Australia. Melbourne, Australia is where we're at. I do go commando quite a lot, so there is also that. I am the modern day commando. But F1 cars produce enough downforce to race upside down, which is why we can even race in Australia. Because the cars are upside down. That's a kind of a gravity joke. Okay, Formula One cars in Australia started in Australia when Jack Brabham started using Formula One cars to round up kangaroos on his farm. That's an actual fact. That is, Jack Brabham started using Formula One cars to go round up kangaroos on his farm, and that was the beginning of F1 in Australia. And ever since then, it's been flag to lights action, lights to flag action in fact. Australia, a beautiful country, large, with lots of bush. Reminds me of my ex-wife. Thank you everybody for being here. Ex-Nilo, woo! To you too. Xbox message in the link. Oh, thank you, Xbox as well. Hopefully you'll be here. Okay, welcome everybody, and of course welcome to my fantastic, ever flatulent and fabulous Fabio. Welcome, Fabio.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm alive. These days can't really ask for much more than that. Okay, so welcome everybody to the Formula One show. It was a fantastic Grand Prix, really. I'm just struggling because I don't have everything ready today, but nonetheless, here we go. We're going to go for it anyway. Excuse me. So basically, the race. It was a fantastic race, as I said, and basically, to start with, we had the fantastic qualifying. We were back at Australia for the first time in a couple of years. They've made modifications to the track, and basically, they've cut a couple of corners out, made it faster. I was hoping it was going to be a quicker race time, but it turned out to be roughly the same. So, but there you go. So in first place was the fantastic Leclerc, the pacey pastry Charles Leclerc. And he had an amazing qualifying session. He went faster, and ended up in pole position. Hotly followed by Max Verstappen, then his teammate Perez, Lando Norris, two Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. Yeah. Anyway, Kurt Russell. I can't remember which one. I went through our memes today, and I'm going to be doing a video on our memes, and that'll be very interesting. So anyway, yeah, Leclerc first place. Disappointing Sainz, who really fell foul to the accidents that were going on currently, or a lot of accidents really during qualifying, and he really in Q3 paid the price. He was in 9th place, and he started on hard tyres, which of course will be a theme for the runners in the thing. So away from the lights, a fantastic start by both Mercedes, fantastic start by Leclerc. Also, Max Verstappen taking his position. He kind of pushed Perez out a little bit, which allowed Hamilton to get by into the first corner, and that was to be the position that the Red Bulls would race in for the rest of the track, really, for the rest of the time. It was fairly easy for the Red Bulls to get by the Mercedes, to say that, but nonetheless, that at least set up the conditions. Leclerc, having got away first, sprinted away. The Ferrari was superb. on its tyres. Although it struggled to heat them up as quickly as the Red Bulls, once they got heated up, the car was considerably faster over the lap, and that was great. Again, the early doors, Carlos Sainz in the other Ferrari really struggled to get his tyres heated. He got away poorly anyway. Dropped down to 10th place, then 11th, then 13th, then 14th, then 15th. Really struggling with his tyres. I think then once he heated his tyres up, he then started coming back on pace. Tried to make an ambitious move around the outside of Bottas, probably into turn 11 or 9-10, sorry, into 9-10, and span out. Unfortunately, beached himself in the gravel trap on the outside of 10, and that was the end of his race. Very unfortunate, especially for me. I was shouting and screaming at the time, almost breaking my TV. Because, of course, Carlos Sainz is my fancied man this year, and I fancy him no more, shall we say. However, there you go. There's plenty of time in the championship yet. So moving on then, Sebastian Vettel decided to make a few mistakes as well. He ended up in the gravel trap, same gravel trap, and was basically struggled all day with his car till eventually he ended up crashing and pulling out. Magnussen, same corner again, also had a similar problem. It seems to me the car's brakes were really, people were struggling with their braking, unable to get the cars slowed down. They are big and heavy this year, so really no surprise there. Then 22, the pit stops started coming in. Norris against Albon, Stroll in there as well. Basically, yeah, and then Lewis and Perez both pitted. Lewis came out in front, although it didn't take long for Perez to get through. Although, as the fight started, unfortunately, another safety car came out because Vettel had run out of gas. I say gas in the not literal sense, in the metaphorical gas sense. And this allowed Russell then to pit in the safety car conditions and then go up past Perez into a second place at the time, and eventually to finish in third place due to a lucky pit stop. Lots of scares for the back markers. Schumacher almost went in the back of Zhou Zhao, the Chinese driver, and that was unfortunate. I'd yet to find out what the conditions were or whether there was any penalty for that, because they were going to investigate it after the race. So, Fabio, if you want to make a quick note of that. And then it was just down to simple Leclerc getting a good restart, pulling away again from the back. Hamilton, of course, in third place at this particular Russell in third place at this particular moment, just trying to hold up Perez as much as possible. And unfortunately, Perez just had too much speed down the straights, and with a bit of DRS managed to get past him. And that was that. That was the end of that little battle. So it became Perez, Leclerc, Perez, Verstappen, Russell, Hamilton, and that was pretty cool. Then Verstappen had another engine problem, or alleged engine, maybe hydraulic, maybe something else. We're not really sure. Maybe a fuel line problem was the conclusion. And his car stopped again, unfortunately, which means 2 DNFs in 3 races. So that dropped him back in the World Championship. Leclerc sailed on to win, and then Perez in second. Excuse me. Then Perez in second place, and Russell in third place, and that was the podium. Hamilton fourth, Norris, Alonso, Ricard, Magnussen, and Albon. Oh, hang on a minute. Have you done that work, Peter? You said you hadn't done the artwork. Did you do the positions? You did. Beg your pardon. Okay, so that was the race, and now we'll go to Peter's. I saw the intro, but I don't know what we're doing because it's okay. That's good. Okay, well, let's just switch to that then. So we go to race results because that is my race roundup. Quick, sharp, short, shifted. Okay, here are the race results. First place, Pacey Pastry, Charles Leclerc. A fantastic lights to flag victory other than the pit stop. Brilliant race. Sergio Perez bringing up second place. A very competent race by him. Lucky to finish in second only because of Verstappen's DNF. Third place, an amazing George Russell in third place, followed by Lewis Hamilton, looking very fine together there, I must say. Yeah, a brilliant race for George. Lewis disappointed. He had some heating problems, so was unable to challenge Russell, even though he was on slightly better tyres. Fifth place, Norris. Oh, fifth place Norris. Yeah. Okay. So the McLarens just didn't have the pace on the Mercedes today. So Mercedes showing that they have at least more downforce around the shorter circuits. Daniel Ricciardo, sixth place, the hometown hero. He obviously has been having a terrible season so far, so great to see him back up in the points and alongside his teammates. Seventh place is Ocon, who basically kept his nose out of trouble again. This is the second race in a row where Ocon has just got in the points by doing absolutely nothing other than driving a very calm, collected, and a consistent race. Well done to Ocon. Bottas pleased to get back in the points again, and again bringing up, and obviously I mean, he's disappointed not to be behind Hamilton because they don't like to be too far apart, obviously. But there you go, eighth place. A good race by Valtteri Bottas. Ninth place then would be Pierre Gasly. Again, he felt a little unsure because his car wasn't really performing at his best possible, but nonetheless, he drove it well. Albon, late pit stop for Albon, and that strategy gave him 10th place for 1 point. He was over the moon with 1 point, which goes to show you Williams Mercedes have not done too much this year to improve their car, and they probably are going to struggle all year. We can but hope. Albon, good drive. He's in the points. Jian Xiao the Chinese driver, in 11th place, just out of the points. Unlucky considering his car should do better. Nonetheless, he's learning and he will be there. He had some good moments in this race. Stroll, lucky to finish 12th considering the car is a pig. 13th place. We're going to whip through them a bit faster. Mick Schumacher, a good race result considering they struggled all weekend, Haas, and they don't seem to be quite on the pace that they were in the last two races. Obviously, they've had no improvements, but we're expecting when they get back to Europe for them to bring some more improvements and the car should do faster. 15th, Kevin Magnussen in 14th place. 15th place, we've got Yuki Tsunoda, the other Red Bull wannabes. And yeah, again, Tsunoda had a very difficult weekend. He just couldn't get the pace out of his car. And when he did, it was to no avail because he had to slow down because of overheating problems. Nicholas Latifi, 16th place. All I can say, he finished. He didn't crash. Well done, Nicholas Latifi. 17th place, Fernando Alonso, very disappointing for Alonso. The car, all through practice and qualifying, showed a lot of pace. Unfortunately, when it came to race pace, that dropped off. Obviously, a good qualifying car. DNF for Max Verstappen. Something happened. I think he might have weed his race suit because he said he smelt some very weird fluids. So I don't know. Maybe that's. Next in 19th place, then Sebastian Vettel out early. Just had a problem oversteering into corner, losing the back end and hitting the barrier. Carlos Sainz getting himself beached in a gravel trap. And that is my race roundup for Australia. So thank you very much, everybody. And while I pass you over to Fabio, I will put up a few messages and say thank you to people in the messages. Fabio, how did you find Australia? And
It's
any
been
conclusions?
it's been a very very heavy weekend for me. I want to show you the timetable that I wrote down on Friday. It was about Saturday and Sunday. So I don't know if you can see that. So this is, I mean, there's all the races on Saturday and then Sunday, and there was everything, including, F1, Superbike, Super Sport 300, MotoGP, Moto2, Moto3, the fucking Indy race, the bloody American Superbike, because there is a dude he used to race for me. So yeah, I mean, it's been heavy. My wife wanted to call the police because I've been abducted by the TV, whatever the fuck. So yeah, it was heavy. Uh, the race was fantastic. I mean, I was pretty disappointed because there were, I think, 400 meters where the Ferrari wasn't faster than the Red Bull. That was quite disappointing. It was, yeah, the second restart. Those 400 meters really, they ruined all the race for me. Fuck off, it's not true. I mean, the guy raced a fantastic race. The car was performing, incredibly well. The guy is I mean, we knew that Leclerc was fast, but the savagery that the guy has up until the last laps, he wanted to make the fast lap, and the engineer tell him, "No, you already have one. We don't think anybody can beat that. You have it. Slow down." And still, he made the fastest lap at the last lap of the race. That was the only thing that. So he reminded me a lot of the 2005 Schumacher era. Pole position, fastest lap, complete domination of the race. The only difference, I would say, that well, not disappointing, but I think I would have told him to cool down a little bit. In the last lap of the races, he already beat everybody. You don't need to show all the potential to everybody. So I would have told him to, take it easily a bit. But we also have to consider that this guy has been dealing with 2 years of shit. So now that he has a fast car, he just wants to lap everybody and his brothers. So I can't really blame him. So what else? You mentioned the braking problems that the cars had. It is true. It's something that we said from the beginning. Most of the downforce comes from the ground. So the moment they lose speed, the wings are not big enough to make the car stick to the ground. So they have problems with the braking. This is something that we will see through all the season. It won't go away. And also the fact, as you mentioned, that they're heavier, it doesn't really help. So, that thing, the track on paper, everybody was screaming that, and actually with good reasons, I think, that the changes they made to the track was favoring Red Bull more than the Ferrari. That didn't happen. So, yeah, fuck them. The interesting thing about the engine, there were rumors that there are still rumors, I think, that the Red Bull engines are run over the limit. So this is not true for the engine, because even if Red Bull has took charge of the engine, the engine are still spec'd in Japan. There is still the the control room in Japan, and they are spec'd in Japan. So that is not a problem. I think that the problem they're having about reliability, and Marco is really worried about that. Fuck that guy. Is because of accessories, all the ancillaries that are on the car. They're put in a different position, they work at different temperatures. So that is proving to be quite a big deal. For Red Bull, it is problematic for Mercedes too. They were running a little bit hot. The temperature,
Sorry, sorry to interrupt. Do we think that the Red Bull, they claiming again a fuel problem?
I read it today. I mean, I don't know what to think. It might be the case. I don't know. Even the first DNF, they were mostly blaming the fuel system. So it was either that they didn't get enough fuel from the tank, or the high pressure, low pressure. It's kind of a very complicated system, which brings fuel to the engine. But there are low pressure and high pressure rails, and there was some mismatch into that one. And they're still blaming something about the fuel lines in general.
Okay, this doesn't make any sense to me. Let me just say this, and I'll tell you why. Because of the weird fluid smell. Right now, weird fluid smell normally means burning hydraulics, does it not?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's.
So could it be the fuel pump? Could it be the fuel pump, which is a hydraulic operation?
Yeah, I mean, okay. So first of all, there's something that I said specifically in the first race when I said, I wasn't really believing that the problem was a fuel problem, because that's not the way an engine stops, especially the Parrots.
Yep.
And I got to say I'm wrong. I was wrong. The reason is that those engines run with a specific pressure in the fuel lines, and when that pressure drops for whatever reason, there is no there is no fuel going in the engine, and the engine basically stops completely.
It just cuts. Yeah.
So as far as the last one, they're still blaming fuel things. He said that there is something weird burning, some kind of fluid, and there were some flames at the back. So if we believe the fact that there was a fuel issue, the fuel issue might be related to temperatures. So there might be some components which is not working properly because of the temperatures. And of course, when the car slows down, there must be a leaking or something like that. I don't know. I mean, it was something weird. So it's really it's man.
Okay.
The fact of the matter is that unless you work for them, you will never know what the fuck happens. It happens to us every time. An engine broke down. We were blaming 9 times out of 10 the thing which was fed to the press. Electrical problems, electronics, or electronics, which let me say. Most of the times it wasn't true, right? And when it was true, it wasn't really. You couldn't really differentiate by a faulty ECU or a plug which was going loose. It's just electronic problems. It's just this kind of magic dust fairy, and say fuck off. I'm not going to tell you what happens.
This gives me my chance to tell my Martin Brundle Honda joke. Which is, Honda broke down at one particular Grand Prix, and they'd been saying, not because it's an engine manufacturer, they never said there was a problem with the engine. And this is what they didn't say this time. So Martin Brundle joked, right, that, it'll turn out to be an electrical problem. Probably a piston went through the electric box.
Yes. No, I totally agree with that. I agree, 100%.
Absolutely, it's electric. Sorry to interrupt, but carry on. Yeah. So Ferrari's pace. Are we thinking that is? Are we thinking that might be difficult under particular temperature scenarios? This is what came to me watching this one.
So here's the thing. It is not unreasonable to blame the problems that both Red Bull and Mercedes, especially in the first race, to blame them to the way that because I mean the engine hasn't changed that much from last year. What has changed is where the parts are located, and putting them in different places, different measures, different temperatures. So that I think is an issue. Ferrari, Haas, and Alfa, they seem to all have gone with a different approach than Red Bull, Mercedes, Williams, and well, even
And not so much
McLaren is
McLaren,
not
but
so much. Yeah,
yeah,
because and it's funny because McLaren hasn't had any issues
yeah.
whatsoever right now.
Other
So
than brakes, yeah,
yeah, okay, yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, but that is not part of the side
yeah,
pods and all this shit.
yeah.
So I think that the way that they are designed, the cars, they either have more room to wiggle around, all the ancillaries and all the things. They don't seem to be running in too many problems. They haven't changed engines. I mean, all the cars have, as far as I remember, they never had any problem. Maybe us had the problem once, but I can't remember specifically. So they have different philosophies. So if it's true that the problem comes from all the services and the accessories, the ancillaries, seems to be that the cars powered by the Ferrari engine and powertrain, they do not have the kind of issue. So I don't really know. One more thing about the disposition of the thing, because it turned out there was some piece of news last week that the Mercedes problems might be way bigger than they think, and solving them might be way more difficult than they think. And one of the reasons being that in order for them to have a car shaped the way that it's shaped, the chassis has been like they have bumps inside the chassis. It's been excavated in some ways. To put some radiators in it. So moving that stuff is not gonna be easy, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
You
the
can't
car
redesign a
is
chassis.
built. Yeah, it's very very complicated. So that may
Yeah, well,
be.
they're also crash tested. Plus, they're the most expensive part on the
Oh
car
yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah. I mean, if
So,
that is a can of worm that is huge to open. So yeah, there is that.
yeah, absolutely.
So
Okay, so
yeah,
can we just go through a few questions quickly?
yes.
So was good evening, design. Sorry to get. Bob says Ferrari had a super fast car for last weekend for the race. They certainly
Yeah, I
did,
mean,
Bob.
I would say that they have a really fast car, and it's a very consistent car. They
Very.
don't care too much about porpoising. It seems to be that they had quite some severe cases of that. But okay. So let me tell you one thing. The only way that you can solve porpoising right now, there is only one way, and it's to raise the car. If you raise the car, the performances go to the shitter. That is mathematic. It's a law. Now there is only one way, unless you bring a new floor. But right now, the only way you have is to raise the car. If you raise the car, everything goes in the shitter. You could see cars are less bouncing, but they're slower. Ferrari has a car which is fast, and if you are a driver in a fast car, yeah, bumping is annoying. I can tell you, they don't give two fucks about it. They don't give two fucks if they end up the race with with bad acres or or bruises. They don't care. If it's fast, it's fast. So they're not focusing too much on that aspect because overall the package is consistent. They can work with that, and and apparently it's not impacting the performances too much. So yeah.
Okay, so it was noticeable that Ferrari had a lot of porpoising, as Lucky is saying. But it did seem to sort itself out when it got to the corners, unlike the Mercedes.
Yeah.
So obviously they've managed to do something wherever, as soon as they come off the throttle, it seems to be that their porpoising instantly disappears. With Mercedes, it's not the case. Also, I think I sent you some pictures of the
Yes.
floor.
Yeah.
And
of
it
the
was
Red Bull.
noticeable that there were some streaks on the floor at the back end of the Red Bull.
Yeah.
And obviously, if they've got some heavy-duty streaks at the back, then maybe that's to at least control the ride height when it gets to high speed. If they have some rake on the car, which is what I was suspecting at the beginning of the season. But obviously that's
Yeah,
leading to some
apparently.
instabilities.
Yeah,
Hmm.
apparently the funny thing about Red Bull, and that might be one of the problems that they have. You remember we talked about it at the beginning of the year, about the rake, not rake, and I mean, I've watched some data, I've watched some, some photographs, and read some stuff. Now it seems to be that the Red Bull not only has no rake, but it actually has the opposite of rake.
Yeah,
Is they're
yeah,
running, so maybe, just maybe, I don't know. As you pointed out, they've always had for many years now a lot of experience with the way with a car that is pointing at the front. Now
hmm
they're forced to run a car in another way. Now I'm not saying that it's a bunch of idiots, of course, but what I'm saying is that part of the background and the knowledge that he used to have, they cannot apply to that car.
mm,
So they might be in an less favorable position that they were, like last year
yeah,
or 2 years ago.
yeah. It's interesting to me how they've changed that rake to the front to rear now, and that as they've done that, the porpoising has got better and better. So
Yeah,
maybe they're thinking that that's their solution, and they're
it
actually
gets.
relying on these rakes at the bottom of the floor at the back to stop them grounding the car. Whereas the other teams are more relying on keeping the floor off
Yeah.
the ground by
Well,
pulling it up with those particular stays.
Well, that is one way to sort the porpoising. It's not
Mm.
as easy as raising the car only. You remember at the beginning, I think it was even when we spoke about the tests that we spoke about. We talked about how this phenomena happens. The
Yeah.
floor stalls, so it bounces back, and all that stuff. And if you remember, I said something on the line that you got to be really careful because that phenomena, it is true that it happens when the floor stalls, but it begins at at the front of the car.
At the front.
It
Yeah.
doesn't begin at the end.
Hmm.
It's because the front wing. I mean the ground stalls and then the front wing catches up, and then the car goes up and the front wing catches down, so it brings everything down. So the fact that they're working with different setup on the front,
Geometry. Yeah.
yes, it is one way to sort it. It is
Mm.
very complicated because
Yeah.
it's not just raising the car in the front. You have to modify the setup of the rear suspensions. Maybe the anti-squat has got to be put in a different way. So it's a lot of work. But that seems to be one of the ways that you can solve it with a lot
Mm.
of effort and study. That might be a solid solution, which is not
Yeah.
raising the car, because raising the car again works, but I mean,
Yeah.
the car
It
is slow.
reduces
So
the amount of downforce you get underneath the car. And
yeah,
also, just to say that makes sense. That really makes sense because those strakes at the back limit the distance that the car at the back can go to the ground. That's like a hard limit, basically. It must be quite uncomfortable for the drivers, but then porpoising is also uncomfortable. So
yeah,
presumably that is their solution. I don't think it's a long-term solution, and I would imagine that they are working on some aerodynamic solution like the rest of the
yeah.
cars are. However, yeah, very interesting to see. Albert Park, traditionally has been a lot more downforce, a lot higher downforce settings or setup for the cars. Obviously, this year it's slightly less so, but of course it still has that 150, 160 mile an hour turn 9 and 10,
Yeah.
and that is a high downforce setting. So the cars that did raise the rear to get rid of the porpoising, they were the ones that struggled. Haas,
Yeah.
Aston Martin, and AlphaTauri as well, all
I
raised their rear setups to
I think
avoid
that
porpoising.
I think that the only proper way to solve porpoising is, but again, it's a long road and requires
Mm.
a lot of
Okay.
study. Is basically to have either slots at the back of the car or a diffuser shaped in such a way that when you get to a certain point of airflow, it basically manages to discharge it on the outside. So
Yeah.
you don't have a bottoming up where and then the floor stalls. So
Yeah.
basically, what you need to do is to have some kind of aero trickery at the rear,
Yeah.
which helps take away, the ground force when it reaches a certain level. Now, it is super complicated because, mostly because of the fact that that is not a one solution fits all, and one solution fits all the tracks. So that's why I said it is a road which is probably take a lot of study, and I'm not even sure that it's going to be completely feasible.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully they will get on top of it. We're coming back to Europe now, so there's certainly time. Hello, Wild Eden, by the way. Just want to throw that out there. So Lucky will also ask, thank you for these questions, Lucky. We really appreciate them. Penalty for Stroll was a bit harsh. During one of the outlaps, I think it was in qualifying, he had a collision with God, no, it's gone out of my mind. Who did he Stroll collide with? Was it a Williams? Latifi.
Yeah,
Uh,
Latifi. Yeah,
Latifi. So
yeah,
Latifi pulled over to let Stroll by. Stroll went by and then slowed down again. Latifi then tried to re-overtake under the bottom of the track, and Stroll pulled across to him, although he didn't admit it afterwards. And Stroll got the penalty for that. I think it was because he didn't come out and say, yeah, this was just unfortunate. It was an accident.
yeah,
He should, in my view, he should have got a penalty. Whether it was too harsh or not, I'm not sure, because you could actually see him turn his steering wheel
yeah,
across the track. And I think that's what he got the penalty for. And as for it being harsh and it happened, yeah, it was unfortunate. But at the same time, it's the lead driver's lead driver's responsibility to make sure that if they pull across the track unexpectedly and off the racing line, that they are taking note of the cars behind them, which clearly he didn't do. So I think that's kind of what it is for me.
I agree.
Okay, cool. Did Fabio watch all those races? Bub says.
Yes,
Did you actually watched all the races
yes,
and the bike
yes.
race as well? Obviously,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, all of them.
all of the bike races. Okay.
So I can tell you, I watched the F1 at 7 in the morning. At 11 there was the Superpole Superbike race from Aragon. At 12, well, there was something else. 12:30, the Supersport race 2. At 2, there was the Superbike race 2. At 3 o'clock, there was the Formula E in Rome. But at 3:10 there was the Supersport 300 round 2 in Aragon, and then at 6 p.m. Moto 2, 8 p.m. MotoGP, 9 Moto 3, quarter to 10 Indy, and at midnight Moto America Superbike round 2. And that was only on Sunday, because on Saturday there was at 1 o'clock Supersport 300 round 1, at 2 o'clock Superbike round 1. At 3 o'clock, the again Formula E, the qualifying, and at 10 past 3, Supersport race 1. And I got to say that there were a lot of Italians winning those fucking races, either with the cars or the drivers. So it was really, really, really good.
I have to say, fantastic Ducati.
Yes.
First 5 places in the MotoGP. So that's an incredible achievement, and that's fantastic. Unfortunate for Jack Miller finishing third when he should have really had second, but nonetheless, a great race. Also, you didn't watch the Talent Cup?
No, no.
You didn't? Okay, just to check that there was some races that I saw that you didn't. Okay.
But actually, I watched a little bit of. I didn't even know there was, but there was a World Championship race of motocross in Italy. So I watched a little bit of that too.
Okay, I missed that.
Yeah.
So okay, we're equal. Fine. Okay, so Lucky Wolf says Ferrari will do great until somebody realizes what cheat they are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We know. I tend to agree, of course. Except I'm.
Of course.
I'm a Tifosi this year, so
Yeah.
technically speaking, no.
Well, no, I can tell you what can happen. It can happen something like in 2006, when because the car and the whole thing was so dominating, they decided to change the rules and
Change the
not put
rules.
and not allow the tires to be changed during the race and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So yeah, I mean
Yeah, yeah.
they can
Nothing,
do that. Right,
nothing
right.
to do with the aerodynamic hubs either, right? Yep. Okay.
Oh,
Geo says, I'm not going to let you respond. I'm going to let you respond.
okay,
I
yeah,
don't think it
fair
was
enough.
even that year, was it? Actually, when I think about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, Leclerc performance was reminiscent of the great Senna. So okay, thank you. I think it was a lights to flag. I'm not quite sure I'd go that far. The cars are considerably easier to drive at the moment than the great Senna. We can talk after you're drained. Yes, we could. You could be right there. You could be right there. Yes, Leclerc. I don't understand what you mean. Leclerc was crashing into people. Not sure what that means,
I don't know.
Lucky.
I don't know.
Paul Verstappen, we've got here as well. Yeah, absolutely, Paul Verstappen. I mean,
Yeah,
to
Paul
have
Verstappen.
that kind of Gio says, Paul Verstappen. Yeah, to have that kind of unreliability in a car which is so fast, it is unfortunate. But this is what happens when you push your design to the edge. Then you are risking reliability, and that actually is interesting because I believe Matteo Binotto said first you have to finish first. You have to finish in order to finish first.
Yeah,
Something like that, he said.
yeah.
So I think that's very wise words, very
Mm-hmm.
wise words
Yeah.
from the Italian, and he aimed that at Red Bull. So it's not like he's trying to stoke the fire there either. I think he may
The
be a little premature here, though, Fabio.
Well, no, I have to say that Red Bull, for example, in my opinion, have an advantage over Mercedes because it's better to have a fast car which is not reliable rather than a slow car which is reliable. So yeah, you can put that in the bank too. So it, Red Bull is better than Mercedes for that reason too, and the outlook I think it's better for them than Mercedes.
Yeah, I would say so as well. Isn't the Red Bull team working in a new facility? Yeah, they haven't actually moved in full time, but they have a new engine facility, and they are rumored already to be changing their plans, so they're not going to be fully utilizing it. And apparently, they're going to be linking up with Porsche. So that seems to be a deal which is going through currently, and that'll be for 2026 probably. So we should see the results of that not next year, but the year after. Although it will be announced soon, I dare say. A few degrees in temperature, humidity can sway things mentally. So, Ex Nilo, welcome, X. Thank you for being here. A few degrees in temperature or humidity can sway things greatly in
Yeah.
F1. Yeah, it really can. These cars are knife edge, some of them. Certainly, the Mercedes at the moment is knife edge, and the Red Bull. Not so with Ferrari. They seem to have left a lot of cooling on their car. And again, since their first design came out, which is the swooping side pods, I'm going to call them swooping side pods. I haven't seen them open up the side pods completely yet, so they are nowhere
Nope.
near the edge of their performance when it comes to overheating the engines and their cooling. So they have plenty to go. Again, it makes it almost a shoe-in for Ferrari this year, provided nothing else goes wrong. However, we'll see how the other teams react. So Lucky says, it's just I haven't read this. All that oil
Uh,
that leaked out from the fuse box. Yes, it was an electrical error,
yeah,
as
yeah.
you're saying. Yeah, you're quite right too.
It was electronics.
Yeah.
By the way, that excuse it has been used forever by everybody. I don't know if you remember,
Yeah.
but when Lauda stopped in Fuji, when it was raining and James Hunt was, won the championship, when he stopped because it was too dangerous, Forghieri, which was the head mechanic, it was basically the guy which made those cars. He asked him, "Do you want me to tell the press that there was an electronics problem?" And he said, no, tell them they know that they stopped because it was too dangerous. So that kind of excuse was already used by everybody. So
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Bub says, would it be allowed to have a computer control the ground floor clearance via some kind of actuator?
no.
Currently, that is illegal. The teams, before this season even started, the teams did request that they be allowed to have some kind of active suspension, but it was denied to them. And I think wrongly as well, because it would be
They
very, very easy to allow this.
they actually have asked to have stoppers, not like electronic things, but just stoppers. So like rods that they put in parallel with. I mean, just to make it super simple, rods that they put in parallel with the suspension, so that the travel suspension is limited, and when you get to a certain point, instead of the floor bottoming, it's just that the car cannot go any lower. But that is not allowed by the rules anyway.
Okay. Although they were asking for active suspension this year,
No,
although of course
yeah,
that was
yeah,
denied because it is against the rules.
yeah.
So that was denied. Solving the porpoising problem, Lucky says, by the use of a Brabham type cooling fan. I don't know what that means exactly, Lucky. A Brabham? You mean the Brabham,
It was the
the
It's
famous
fan
so
the
it's
car?
famous fan car.
Yeah, he's talking about the fan car, but I
Mm,
don't think it's gonna solve anything. I mean,
no,
that thing was used. I mean,
that make it
that
worse.
was basically an extractor. So
Yeah,
the reason why those cars didn't have that problem was because they were sealed at the edges. They
yeah.
had the skirts. That is the issue. So the ground never stalls, but it only goes outside, and the outside is the back, and that is the reason. So
Yeah, and although they did have porpoising problems later when the skirts were banned, the
yeah,
amount of downforce they were getting from the bottom of the car was never great enough to really cause the cars a huge problem.
yeah.
Plus, of course, they had active suspension soon after, so again that completely solved the problem. Anyway, there you go. So, do F1 cars, and let me just put it up before I read it. Do F cars run weights on their chassis if they are too light? Yes, they do.
Yeah,
Although these current class of cars, which are actually, I redid it, is 798 kilos is the minimum weight,
yeah,
and the current set of cars are all over 800,
yeah,
bar bar the Alfa Romeos, I think, which
yeah.
seem to come in at that weight. But if they were
Which has some.
underweight,
They
then
have
they
some
would
interesting. Oh, sorry. Go
they
ahead.
would
Sorry.
sorry if they were underweight, they would then put extra weights on as ballast weights. Yeah,
Yeah, which is an advantage because you can put the weight where you want, and the Alpha actually has some really interesting solutions, in order to share the weight. It's like for example, the upper roll bar is not a V, but it's just basically a spike. So they have some really interesting thing. Yeah, but weight reduction is one of the things they're talking about right now. Everybody is going for that. The Red Bull in Australia, they had part of the car which they were not painted in order to
yeah,
save weight. This is they're
yeah,
trying to
yeah.
save weight everywhere because right now they're overweight. So
Yeah. Although
it
it
is not.
adds extra kilos to do a full paint job, so
Yeah.
presumably they only paint the bits where they need sponsorship for. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. No,
otherwise they'd
but
all be carbon fiber, right?
well, I mean, yeah, but if you notice, I mean, the Red Bull, the lower part now is black. It used to be, painted, and now it's not painted. I mean, they're trying to shave grams everywhere. So
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry, I've just put the wrong one up. When I was younger, Ducati, the Italian bike that no one buys. Yeah, Ducati's had oil leaking problems, shall we say, initially. Most Italian bikes did, like most British bikes. It was only the Japs that could get their bikes to work that way. Anyway, that's just a wear thing. Lucky, another one is like, it's possible, do you have some way to keep balance sometimes? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, again, there's no point in adding extra weight on a Formula One car because the setup is always going to be compromised by any extra weight. and they already designed the cars to put the balance, the center of balance as low as possible. So they're already designed that way. Leclerc was compared to. Oh, sorry. Let me put it up there so you can read it. Leclerc was compared to Senna. That's why I asked if he was crashing into people. Don't understand that.
I don't remember Senna crashing into people. That's my problem.
Oh no, he did. Prost.
He did? Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah. I assume that's what the reference is to.
Oh, yeah. Now I get it.
But anyway, cheeky. I like it, but cheeky.
Well, okay. So here's the thing. If that's the criteria, Leclerc was better than Senna because Leclerc literally had nobody to crash into because there was nobody in front of him. So
he was gone.
Yeah.
He did Prost.
Yeah.
If anything, he's more like Prost, I have to say.
Yeah.
But anyway, there you go. Oh, look, Geo Sam says, sorry, I'll do the balance thing in a minute. I spent 2 hours watching race telemetry, following dots on a map, of course. Yeah, I know. You can get coverage in the States. It does cost money, Geo Sam, but it's not much money, and that is at Formula1.com. So if you go to Formula1.com, you'll be able to pay to get coverage. Lucky says balance is done with the suspension. The first thing you do on any race car is corner weights, or certainly when I raced. So yeah, that's fair enough. Says for itself. Yeah, that's what I was seeing. Ins and outs of cars. Fan car comment was tongue in cheek. Yeah, fair enough.
Okay,
I get you now. Let's shot. Let me just put that comment up because obviously you want to be able to see that on the thing. Yeah, laugh out loud on the paint. Yeah, it is. It comes to like a couple of kilos to paint a Formula One car.
Yeah.
And that's a couple of tenths around a lap sometimes. So they really go overboard. Senna not crashing, he says. Yeah, Senna crashing. Okay, so that's great. Thank you very much for your comments and your questions. Anything else, just put them in and we'll round up at the end of the show. Not a bad race, I thought myself, actually. There was enough entertainment to keep us going. And also it helps when your team is in first place. I would say something in Italian now, just to prove that I am actually Italian. In fact, Peter, could you possibly change my flag? Because I notice I've got the wrong flag on this year. So that would be great.
I can do that, but I can't do that on the fly because I'm obviously still not in the country, so I can't work on things.
Okay. Here we go. One last comment then, before I get Peter in, which is Gordon Murray said he banned drivers wearing a watch. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah. Otherwise, you'd have to pay them the full amount of time they work for. Okay, so we sent Peter to Australia, of course. Peter, in Melbourne, what are the prostitutes like? There he is, Peter in Melbourne.
What a cunt.
Hello, Peter. Well done. I can see you're in a back alley in Melbourne. I guess you've gone after the
we can't
the
kill
male
you,
prostitutes
but we
this
can
week.
see you. Yeah.
Okay, how did it go for you? Any reports on what's happening where you are?
Well,
how was the hotel, of course?
As usual. Hold on, and I'll fix that. There we go. So
okay.
Yeah, as usual. The accommodations are amazing because of the budget. Although that might change because I did have a word with Total Wolf because I'm really surprised they haven't solved the problem yet. I mean, they had the problem in-house. It's not even to cost them anything because they already have a solution for the problem, which is the suspension of last year. If you all remember last year on the straight, the Mercedes went down. So what I told Total Wolf, take the suspension from last year, turn it upside down, which means that on the straight, the car will raise, no porpoising. When you get to the corner, it will sink again, and therefore solution for the entire problem. So if that goes through, I will be thinking of receiving a large amount from Mercedes. So it should be
Indeed.
easy.
Yeah, I mean, there is one thing, Peter. You said, "I'm sorry interrupting you," but
I
there
don't
was
know.
I must address it. And you said, the problem that Mercedes have. I'm sorry to tell you, you're wrong. They have no problems. They never make mistakes. So
I forgot. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry
There you
about
go.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
they're very particular,
Yeah.
in wanting you to know that their team never make mistakes.
So,
So
well,
Not once.
I can say
Never.
that no one
Never
here in
once.
Australia suffered from porpoising, because as you might know, Simos, Australians do speak English. They're basically a prison colony from the UK, so they speak English, but they have some different words. So here it is called platypusing, and drivers who complain are called the platypussies. Oh, I just thought I'd
I see.
mention that.
I get you. Thank you for the punchline this time. That's most welcome.
See?
Also,
Yeah.
I'd just like to say, although they say they never make a mistake, they did hire Valtteri Bottas. So just want to put that out there that Lewis is already contradicting himself. And more importantly, they didn't sack Valtteri Bottas midway through the
And
season.
now I have to correct
So
you
I
because
don't
it
have
was
to-
that wasn't Lewis who said that.
So wait for my punchline. So I don't have to spend beers to Fabio. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, but that it wasn't Lewis who said that. It was George
oh
Russell.
yes, it was.
Yeah, it was Lewis.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
it was Lewis.
I thought it was.
Oh, yeah,
I thought it was Russell.
No, it was Lewis. It's on him. Fuck me. It's on
Anyway,
him.
there you go. How did you
Yeah.
find the race, Peter? How did you find the race?
I'm still amazed. So the with this year that we have the battles that we have in the rest of the field. Usually it was just a train of people driving, and now we see people fighting and very close racing. Just ask Mick Schumacher. Very close at times. If the person in front of you brakes and you're not fast enough, you run into them. But I that's the part that I find exciting. So last the last season, all we saw was the people driving in front, and we didn't see Leclerc at all for the entire race. I mean, well, with the restarts, but other than that, we never saw him, which might be a problem for Ferrari because you've got sponsors and they want to be seen. Maybe that's why they chose to park Sainz's car in the gravel. I don't know. I mean,
Maybe
things happen.
they will show the leader towards the end of the season if it keeps going that way a bit more. I can almost guarantee you we've had this issue before where the leaders are so far in front they never get on TV. However, it was nice to see that there was a train of maybe 6 cars at one point. I think Stroll was holding them up.
Yeah.
But disappointing to see that there was no swapping of position back in the train.
Well,
So again,
you
it goes to
can't
show
blame them because
once
you saw what happened when Latifi tried to overtake Stroll. I mean,
yeah.
can't blame them for staying behind.
So once they get into a DRS train, it's just as difficult to overtake as ever before. So again, I think that showing that we need DRS this year, and we're not going to get any significant amounts of overtake without it again. Disappointing, but nonetheless, that's the way Formula One is these days, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so another thing about my accommodation, I did try to broadcast from the room itself, but as you saw, everything's upside down. So I tried to rearrange my room, and now I'm sued by the hotel, which is why I'm still here, because otherwise I would have been on a plane towards the Netherlands. But I'm hearing that usually it takes a week to get those things on trial.
What do you mean the hotel?
I'm probably going to be fast forwarded and be tried tomorrow in a kangaroo court. So
Yeah.
There we go. Boom, boom.
Holy
I thought that was because of the. I thought that was because you weren't on the plane because you were still getting medical treatment from the male prostitutes that you've been seeing over there.
we
No?
weren't
Okay.
we weren't supposed to talk about that.
Okay. Yes. Oh, I beg your pardon. Beg your pardon.
Okay.
Just
Well,
typing some stuff. So
we
go ahead.
we do have some late stuff from the last race. There were a few radios that weren't released until
Good.
later last week. So
Yeah.
let's hop over to that and watch the team
You
radio.
have those. You have those.
I have
You have
those.
those, do you? If you
Yeah.
wouldn't mind. Yeah, these are secret team radio messages that
Yes.
haven't been heard before.
Yes.
So this is an exclusive for us. If
It
they're
is.
genuine, this is an exclusive for us.
I mean, everything I bring to the show is genuine. You know that already.
No, okay.
You could tell by the bad
You
jokes.
missed the point. You missed the point, but anyway.
Okay.
More doors or wheels in the world?
I don't know. I'm busy driving.
Okay, Lewis, so Roscoe has done a massive shit on Toto's desk.
So sorry, guys.
Copy that, Lewis. We'll get George to clean it up. Lando, we've got a problem. We're down to low-fat milk. Shit! Daniel, are you watching Bridgerton?
Should I switch it off?
Checo, do you want to speak to Helmut Marko?
Yes!
You being sarcastic?
Yes!
Okay. That was it. And yeah.
No, thank you, the reserve drivers. A big
Yes.
shout out to you. That is the funniest thing I've seen on the internet for some time. So yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Then there's another thing, and that already a tiny bit was already released. I think earlier in the weekend. Sebastian Vettel has already missed 2 races, and then he was out. It seems that he's got a new job. So and he did practice on track. He's going to hop over to Uber Eats and get his stuff from there.
Brilliant. Yeah, brilliant.
And-
you could actually hear him. There is a radio message from this, and it goes something like ring a ding 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 ding, ring a ding 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 ding. Okay.
Yeah, and
There you go. That's my
the
joke
other
on this.
secret news that I have is McLaren, who brought some updates. They secretly tested those in Melbourne, and so they've now built a car entirely out of Lego. So things would be easy to swap out. The only thing is that I'm hearing is it might not get through the crash test. But yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, a
Oh.
good idea. Weight saving, presumably.
That too.
Certainly, in terms of manufacture, it's got to be better.
Flexibility.
Got to be better, less expensive.
Yes.
So there you go. That's
I mean,
what
you
they're
can-
going to do with the cost cap. When
You
they
can hire
get to
5-year-old
addressing so many
mechanics.
cars.
If you have Lego, you can hire 5-year-old mechanics, and they're a lot cheaper.
It's true as well. There you go. Anyway, there we go. So yeah, that's really that is the race roundup from Peter. Is there anything else you want to say about the race, particularly?
I think we should thank Lance Stroll, because if it wasn't for him, Latifi wouldn't even have crashed this weekend. And so there are a lot of people making bets as Latifi crashed already. It's the new thing.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, absolutely. He's the new Max Verstappen.
I'd call him the new Maldonado.
Yeah, there is that as well. Yeah, there we go. There are many drivers that fit into this category, unfortunately.
Yes.
However, what do we think of the changes to the circuit? Is that an improvement, do you think, Fabio?
What I would like
To
is
the Australian circuit.
I'm not really sure. I mean, I like the corner that they erased and then they put that fast corner. I like that better. But yeah, I mean, it was a good race anyway. So I guess it was okay.
And one other question, quickly before I go on to Peter, just to say 4 DRS zones to 3 DRS zones, an improvement, or do you think we should have stuck with the 4 DRS zones?
I mean, we said it before. I think they should put 1 DRS zone and fuck it. I mean, now they're putting 4. It was. I don't know. I mean,
It's crazy.
Can I just say one thing before you go back to Peter? I've never been a big fan of the guy, but I got to tell you, this year,
Yes.
Alonso is my fucking hero. I love it. Yeah, he really. I mean, the guy is bloody amazing. He's what 42. He got back, and he's racing his head off. It's brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, again, Alonso has been an absolute star. Wherever he's gone, he's adapted to the cars he drives
Yeah.
and gives it everything. He is
Yes.
an absolute solid, crazy man hero. So
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
no doubt about that. And he says he wants to race for another 2 or 3 years. So
Yeah,
hey,
because-
we've got him for a while longer. Peter, back to Australia.
Well,
What did you think of the circuit?
You say that all
Changes.
about Alonso. You say that in the one race where he comes in last. I just
Yeah.
Well,
I think
yeah, but I mean,
yes.
he raised his head off anyway, and then he just crashed because he had no hydraulics. I mean, what the? And I mean, I don't know if you know, if you remember, the he tried to switch gears up until the point where he crashed into the wall because apparently he lost hydraulics, he couldn't switch gears, and he kept doing that. So he kept keeping the hands on the fucking steering wheel while he crashed into the wall, and he hurt himself. You could see, shaking his hand. So I mean, massive kudos to the guy. He's brilliant. And again, coming from somebody that I've never liked Alonso, when he was racing before, I thought he was anyway. I mean, I never liked the guy, but I'm changing my mind completely. He's brilliant.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You're changing
That's,
your mind because he's no longer driving for Ferrari. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, I mean, he was an absolute piece of shit when he was driving for Ferrari.
Oh
Yeah.
no, he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
he
was.
drove that Ferrari. He drove that Ferrari like everything else he drove,
Yeah.
as if it was stolen.
No, but he was. I mean, as a person, he was an absolute cunt.
He's
That's
an
what I'm
absolute
saying.
cunt anyway, Fabio.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter
Yeah.
what team he's in. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel. I mean, I feel this year is, his approach is a bit different. He's still. I mean, he's still a crazy cowboy, but it's different. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. But
We'll see. Anyway, Peter, the
What?
Australian circuit, Melbourne. What do you
Well-
think of the changes and the changing in DRS zones?
I agree. The one corner shouldn't have been scrapped. But today they had a press release whether or not it was too premature to scrap the fourth DRS zone, and they're probably going to put that in for the next race. So we'll have to wait and see
Okay, I
what
mean
that
that
does.
doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Let me just say that.
It's
Because that fourth DRS zone is into the fastest set of corners, which no one could overtake in anyway. So okay,
I'm just
take out the best one
reading.
of the-
I'm just reading the press release.
know,
That's
I know.
what it said. That they were too premature in scrapping the fourth DRS zone, and they're thinking about putting it
Yeah,
back in
so-
for the future.
Yeah,
So
So take out the second best overtaking spot, which Alonso actually was a demon in overtaking on. So they scrap that corner, and then they want to make it an even faster entry into the fastest corner on the circuit, which you can't overtake in. They just don't know what they're doing. That's all I'm saying right there. Okay, I mean it's a nightmare. I'm not happy to be back at Melbourne Park. I love racing in Australia. That's really cool and stuff. But Albert Park has never been the best place to go racing. It's always been a pretty much wait for the safety cars to get any action circuit, unless it's raining, of course, and that's unlikely. So disappointing for me, but nonetheless a good result for Leclerc.
it's too bad they can't race in Mount Panorama, because that would be a race I would watch.
Yeah, that's a hell of a Bathurst is a hell of a
Yeah.
circuit. So yeah, absolutely, I completely agree with you. And I guess most Australians would also say yes. Other than the state of the circuit is just well beyond safety conditions for a Formula One
fuck
track.
it. Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah.
that doesn't make any sense.
No.
Okay, look, I'm going to end the show there, guys. Thank you so much for coming by. Is there anything else? Let me just go through the. Well, do you want to just finish up for us, Peter? Well, I'm just going through any last things. We'll talk about Italy as well. If you guys want to just mention
Yeah,
going to Italy next.
next race is going to be in Imola, and it's completely sold out. Like, there is not a ticket in place anywhere. There's going to be a massive traffic login because Imola is it's a it's really bad to reach. The circuit is really bad to reach because it's basically you have to cross the city to get to the circuit, and it's a fucking nightmare. So yeah, it's gonna
Well,
be fun being there.
I do recall one time that I went to Zandvoort in the Netherlands, and so we left there. I think at it was somewhere around 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and at 8:30 at night we managed to get out of the car park. So it's not just Italy. We've had the same thing here as well. Which and
Same thing at Silverstone as well, because there's only
Oh, yeah.
one road out of Silverstone.
and I have to say,
Funnily,
kudos
it's
to
And it's
a massive
narrow.
circuit,
Fuck me.
massive
Yeah.
circuit, and they couldn't even build another road in there.
I have to say kudos to the people who live in Zandvoort because obviously because there was such a massive traffic jam, there was nothing you could get to eat. It was on a Sunday, so the only things that were open were what you would call Simos fish and chip shops. They were sold out in
and-
no time,
Yeah,
and people who
and
live
the
there,
dope shops as well.
Yeah.
Of course.
yes, and people who live there,
And the prostitute shops.
they're always open in many more ways than one. But they came and brought us sausages, sausage rolls, everything they
bet
had
they
in the
did.
house. Yeah, it's good people in Zandvoort. Yes.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're Dutch, so it
although
doesn't really. Yeah.
although
Anyway,
you do remind me because I saw that when we started. I want to give kudos to Fabio camouflaging the huge dildo that he has in the back on his. We have seen people who make that mistake, having sex toys in the frame. Draping that red cloth
Okay.
around it really does the trick.
Oh no! That's an air gun. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yes,
Okay.
of course it is.
That's an air. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I must say that is some air gun you got there. Fabio.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised your wife has always got a smile on her face. Okay, moving on. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to say goodnight there. Any further words? We've got Italy in 2 weeks' time, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes. 2 weeks.
And that's Imola, the fantastic Imola.
Yes.
Always an exciting circuit. High downforce. Yes.
Yes.
And bumpy.
And well, I mean, I saw the GT race 2 weeks ago. The one where Valentino missed the box, and I mean, judging from the way that the cars were driving, the problem seems to be. I mean, the track is not that bumpy, so it looked pretty smooth to me. But we never know with F1. They
Yeah, especially these modern cars, right?
Yeah,
That's for sure. They are so sensitive.
Yeah. There is so there are a couple of points which might be tricky because the track goes up and then goes down really fast. And so I mean, I'm not saying that they could get air, but there is a sudden change in altitude, so there might be some problems on some umps or stuff like that. Oh, we'll see.
Yeah.
This should be interesting.
Yeah, a couple of things I'd like to say also is one of the ways around Imola to get time, of course, is to ride the curbs. And so
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see the compromise the cars make on that, this thing, because these cars don't like the curbs. So it will be interesting to see whether this lap time is a lot slower than last year, which is what I would expect.
And the curbs in Imola are really nasty. I mean, they're high, and so it's not the kind of curbs that you can find, I don't know, in Valencia or places like that. They're really nasty.
Okay, Peter.
Well, I just want to say, based on what we've seen so far, I think what we're going to see in Imola is that Latifi is going to take out Max, so Red Bull has an excuse, and Latifi can crash again. That's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, the last thing then is Xbox says, damn, I wonder what happened to the rocket in Fabio's background.
It's still
Fabio.
there. It's not in the background. It's there.
Aha, okay. Can we just have a quick look at that?
Oh, yeah.
And Lucky, if you want to...
It's... there you go. Still there. See?
I can't, but okay.
Well, yeah, I mean... It is
Hopefully the
there.
viewers do. Oh, yeah, there you go. I see it now.
Just
Yeah, I
above
see
the
it now.
Starship Enterprise.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Lucky Wolf, if you want to...
And we can also
Just
see
type
all
the name
the,
of
the
it,
empty
can you-
beer cans there that Fabio has
Yes.
spent while watching the race.
Yeah,
you
there you
think
go. Yeah.
IPAs probably, if I'm not mistaken.
Courtesy of Simos Funk.
Mhm.
last
oh,
year.
No, not yet,
Oh,
unfortunately.
no. It's, I mean,
Not yet.
it's not coming. Yeah.
It's not forgotten.
I mean,
It's not
I'm
forgotten.
waiting. I'm a little bit thirsty, but yeah.
Okay, I wouldn't wait for that too if you want to quench your thirst, because it might be a little bit longer. I'm still trying to source it, shall we say? I was asking my brother that lives near the brewery to go and get it, but unfortunately he's been down now and hasn't brought it back. So I think he
Okay.
went and got it and then drunk it himself.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm having a problem. But I'm
Yeah.
going to go to a local brewery soon, hopefully, and get it, and then that'll
Okay.
at least then I'll have them. Whether I can then sort out sending it to you is another thing. So, Lucky, do you want to just type in chat what the name of it is? I can look it up quickly and paste the link in chat. If you have an excellent video that you might recommend, we'd love to put that in. Nice. Okay, so, please, Lucky, I love video receipts. Bub says, please, Lucky, please put that in. So, okay, here we go. Search. Do you want to handle that, please, Peter? While I'm tying up the end of the show. Is that possible?
I can try.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so basically, we're going to conclude the show there, of course. I'm hugely looking forward to getting back to Europe, not just because of the great tracks in Europe, but I'm also looking forward to upgrades. I'm looking forward to some of the teams that are currently at the back moving forward a little bit. The gap between first place the gap between the front field and the back of the field on the midfield is way larger than last year. Everybody said that these cars were going to close the gap. We didn't agree with that, did we, Fabio? We said no. It's going to be the top three teams out front, and that's looking like it's going to be that way. Ferrari are
you're right.
miles faster than everybody else.
I mean, the only good thing is that it seems to be that there's been some mix-up in the in the midfield, so there is that, and there is also another good thing is that it is true that there's still 2 or 3 races going around at the same time, but they are way more packed than they used to be. So that is in my book it's a bonus.
Okay, so that is a bonus. Anyway, getting back to Europe, hopefully we'll also sort things out. PK is okay. Well, we'll let viewers see that in the actual. We'll let people see that in the actual video itself. The link is in the chat now. Thank you very much, Peter, for doing that. Much appreciated. And we will see everybody in 2 weeks' time for the Imola Grand Prix 2022 review, which I'm hugely looking forward to. So thank you, everybody, for coming by. Much appreciated. Thank you very much, Peter. And also thank you to Fabio. And ciao, everybody.
Ciao.